Gangaram Hospital chairperson Dr. D.S. Rana has said that remdesivir is being considered to be dropped from COVID-19 treatment soon. This comes a day after government notified that plasma therapy has been dropped from clinical management guidelines for the disease for COVID treatment. Now we will understand more on the COVID treatment and the drugs that are being used by the doctors as far as COVID treatment is concerned. We will have a panel of doctors joining us live to take your questions, viewer questions, and most frequently asked questions as far as COVID treatment is concerned in connection with drugs like remdesivir, tocilizumab, and also plasma therapy treatment, various treatments like the plasma therapy, use of steroids for COVID patients. We will be joined by Dr. Y.K. Gupta, who is the president of President AIIMS from Bhopal, Dr. P. Kuganantham, HOD of SRM Institute for Medical Science. He will be joining us live from Chennai. Dr. Neeraj Nischal, he's the Associate Professor Medicine AIIMS in Delhi. He will be joining us live on this broadcast as well to take us through the questions as far as COVID treatment is concerned, because we also saw that the government of India has also given a lowdown on the drugs and the availability of drugs for COVID treatment. We have a panel ready. We have Dr. Y.K. Gupta, President of AIIMS from Bhopal, joining us live in this special broadcast. Welcome, Dr. Y.K. Gupta, for joining us on Republic TV. Dr. P.M. Kuganantham joining us live from Chennai. He's the HOD of SRM Institute for Medical Science in Chennai and former City Health Officer from Chennai. Dr. Neeraj Nischal, who's the Associate Professor of AIIMS in New Delhi, is also joining us live on this broadcast. We welcome the special panel of experts joining us in this special broadcast. My first question would be to Dr. Y.K. Gupta, President of AIIMS from Bhopal. Dr. Y.K. Gupta, if you could answer this question, is there a concern on remdesivir for COVID treatment? Because we just saw how a top doctor has said that remdesivir could also be dropped from COVID treatment protocols.
My comment is that the treatment strategy evolves based on the evidence which gradually generates. And today, the treatment with the remdesivir has shown that this does not improve significantly the overall survival or the outcome of the patient. Therefore, the data which even WHO has interim analysis and then the final analysis has done has shown that this does not improve. And therefore, currently there is a reason to drop the remdesivir from the standard care of treatment for COVID-19. And this is a dynamic process.
Yes. So, Dr. Y.K. Gupta, taking forward your answer to Dr. P. Kuganantham, our second question, a very frequently asked question, is how effective was remdesivir in COVID treatment so far? As far as your experience is concerned with remdesivir, how effective was this medicine in the COVID treatment?
Actually, remdesivir is used by many nursing homes and hospitals. Since we have started in the first wave itself, conventionally, people believe that it could give relief. But we feel in our treatment, the patients who are given this remdesivir in the first 7 to 10 days show little improvement. Maybe their stay is reduced. Maybe their illness is reduced. There is nothing else other than this proven to be very effective. There are some patients who succumb to bad illness even after remdesivir. So, we have got no scientific evidence to say that remdesivir gives relief, in spite of many doctors are talking that it gives little relief. But it is ICMR and the government of India should come forward to say we will stop remdesivir because it creates a great panic among the people standing in queues to buy these drugs and people selling it in the black market, all these things. So the final answer is remdesivir is not required for treating the patient. Your simple drugs like steroids and blood thinners, bronchodilators, mucolytic agents, all these things, and treatment for diabetes and hypertension, this is sufficient to treat. We have treated more than about 3,500 patients, nearly 4,000 patients we have treated. We have been successful in handling them with the steroids and blood thinners and the treatment, proper treatment for diabetes and hypertension. And all other drugs which were conventionally we following this Western world in the first wave doesn't show big improvement because many of them actually succumb to worst process of illness even after your remdesivir and tocilizumab and all that.
Thank you, Dr. P. Kuganantham, for answering that question. Dr. Neeraj Nishchal, if I can ask you the next question. What are the long-term side effects of remdesivir?
So that is something which is really difficult to answer, because what is happening that when somebody is recovering from COVID and if there is some long-term sequelae, everything is blamed on COVID. So it's really difficult for us to answer what is the long-term effect of remdesivir. But I will definitely agree with all panelists that remdesivir got overhyped during this pandemic, and the result of which we have seen over last 2-3 months. We have seen what a mad rush for this particular drug, which is hardly have any mortality benefit in any group of patient, except for certain group of patient where it may decrease duration of stay in hospital. Apart from that, it has no use whatsoever. And we have been seeing it for last almost 8 to 10 months now, when it becomes freely available in the market. So it's a right step that this drug, which has limited role, should not be projected as something which is going to save lives. And that is what common people at the moment has in their mind. So this is something which should be reinforced, that the treatment of COVID-19 is largely supportive. Most of patients will not require any sort of any specific treatment. And those patients who start desaturating, who have prolonged fever, who have signs of inflammatory response going out of control, what we call a cytokine storm, they will require oxygen, steroid, and anticoagulation. Apart from these group of patients, nobody will require any specific treatment for this particular condition. And that should be a take-home message: right drug at right time. And these right drugs are steroid, oxygen, and anticoagulation at right time, not at the start of disease. That is something that needs to be reinforced. Steroids should not be started right at the start. So that is something we have to keep in mind. But remdesivir, I don't think it's required in treatment of any COVID patient.
Thank you, Dr. Neeraj, for answering that question. Dr. Y.K. Gupta, my next question, though the answers, Dr. Kuganantham and Dr. Neeraj Nishchal have already answered that question partly, but still, if you could give your opinion on, if not remdesivir, what would be the most effective mode of COVID treatment according to you and according to your experience?
Is absolutely correct. So many drugs in their early study have shown that they were advantage in terms of prolonging some reducing the hospital stay and reducing some complication. However, none of these have been found to be convincingly, significantly reducing or improving the outcome, except the corticosteroids, the 3 corticosteroids which have been recommended at the time after 4 or 5 days, right time. And because there is a coagulation problem, the anticoagulant treatment. And of course, the important thing is that rampant use of antimicrobial agent must not be there. Antibiotics must only be used in the hospitalized patient with consultation of doctor, only to prevent secondary or treat secondary infection. Otherwise, what we are seeing is so much of misuse or abuse of antimicrobial agents on so-called prophylaxis, because they have been shown some antiviral property. Antibiotics are not to be used as antiviral.
Thank you, Dr. Y.K. Gupta, for answering that question. Dr. Kuganantham, if you could take the next question. What are the concerns over use of ivermectin, the drug ivermectin? Because this question comes because the Goa government is going to distribute ivermectin tablets to people, and they are recommending that for COVID treatment. So, but there are certain agencies who've also red flagged its use. So, what is the medical opinion on ivermectin?
Actually, ivermectin was used a lot in many of the countries. As long as there is no sure shot therapy against this virus. virus, there are some drugs used as a disease-modifying agents. There are some scientists from Australia who published after trials that ivermectin has got a role to play in reducing the viral multiplication or its implication in the system. So ivermectin, 12 milligram tablet 3 days in a week is sufficient to reduce uh, reduce the virus activity in the body. It is only an evidence, and people from Australia, people from other countries like Italy, and even in some parts of UK, people are talking a lot about it, scientists. Otherwise, there is no proven scientific data to say that it really acts in the system to control the viral spread or its implications. So ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all these drugs were considered to be a disease-modifying agent in any of the viral infections. Even in dengue, hydroxychloroquine was used. In leptospirosis, dengue we have used a lot. So ivermectin, though scientifically not proved, some studies have actually shown ivermectin is good, but scientifically we don't have evidence to say ivermectin is the choice of drug for the treatment.
Thank you, Dr. Guganantham, for answering that. Dr. Neeraj Nishchal, if I can take the next question to you. What is the difference between protocol and non-protocol drugs? Now, this afternoon we saw that the government released its statements and they classified drugs as protocol drugs and non-protocol drugs for COVID treatment. Under protocol drugs, we saw drugs like remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine and tocilizumab, paracetamol, ivermectin, while in non-protocol drugs, we have favipiravir, amphotericin and amixamab. So if you can tell us what is the difference between the classification of these drugs?
Now, this protocol drug will include those drugs which may actually find some role in the management of that particular disease. So whatever we have been talking about, whether it's remdesivir, whether it's ivermectin, there have been some evidence that these drugs might be effective, and that's why emergency use authorization or off-label use of these drugs were allowed. And non-protocol drugs exactly are not meant for COVID-19. When you talk about amphotericin B, then this is for fungal infection, which we are seeing in COVID patients who have either uncontrolled diabetes and had been given immunosuppression in form of either steroids or tocilizumab and have suffered conditions like mucormycosis. So again, these drugs will not have direct role in management of COVID-19, but whatever complications are arising because of either disease or because of the drugs we are using for the disease, that can be managed with this amphotericin B. So this is the basic difference.
Thank you, Dr. Neeraj, for answering, for clearing that doubt on the COVID drugs. Dr. Y.K. Gupta, if you could take the next question, would change in protocol lead to over-dependence on steroids? Because we've also seen how the government has also raised concerns over overuse of steroids, and we've also seen how there has been rise in black fungus cases due to overuse of steroids. So if a protocol is changed, if remdesivir is dropped from the COVID treatment, then would it lead to over-dependence on steroids?
I would say that there is a very specific advantage role of corticosteroids at a particular time. And it should not be indiscriminately used, and it should not be used in very high dose for a very long period and at the wrong time. And if it is being used, one physician has to be careful about the possible infection, particularly the opportunistic infection and particularly the mucormycosis. Because that symptom, if a person catches immediately, because the diagnosis is usually difficult, but if you have a symptom, pain in eye, pain in or maybe headache, or maybe some secretions of blood also, immediately start the treatment because it cannot be delayed. So, optimum use of steroid is important. Overuse can lead to immunosuppression and will lead to, particularly in diabetic patients, where the mucormycosis is more possible to grow. So these are the, I think, precautions we have to take care.
Thank you, Dr. Y.K. Gupta, for answering that. Dr. Kuganantham, in this case, would DRDO's 2DG drug be a game changer in COVID treatment? This drug was launched just a couple of days back. And if there are changes in protocol, would the DRDO drug be a game changer in COVID treatment?
Likely to change because lots of information is coming out. Only when we use it for a large number of patients, we can definitely see the benefit out of it. Everybody says it gives a lot of encouragement in recovery of the patients. Let them come to the market and also come to the health facilities for usage. Before that, I would like to re-establish the same idea what our previous speaker said. Steroids are the only drugs which reduce the inflammation caused by the virus. It should be carefully calculated used. And then blood thinners like ecosprin or cloplet has to be used. Then we also look with the treatment of diabetes and hypertension. In Tamil Nadu, and especially in Chennai, the major hospitals, we have advised them to start separate units with people with uncontrolled diabetes and hypertension and comorbid so that they are intensively followed even after starting steroids. If the glucose level is increasing, they have to be controlled with the insulin. The final point I would like to really stress here is, I am a public health person. I am a public health infectious disease person. If large number of patients are going to be positive in the community, in the country, are we going to test everyone and each and everyone? That is not the public health way. So we suggested in our committee, in the expert committee, the Tamil Nadu government, why not we go in a public health way, identifying the symptomatics and treat them with the basic drugs. And we have brought out this syndromic management for this illness, because when the disease affects larger population, it is not the clinically oriented, lab oriented, investigation oriented system will work when the larger population. So we have categorized with the experts the syndromic management of the illness, and the people who are apart from the syndromic management, if they go for any complication, they can be admitted in the tertiary health. Because of the lack in the care in the primary and the secondary level could be stopped. That could be the policy that government can definitely adapt. This is what we are trying to do in Tamil Nadu.
Thank you, Dr. Kuganantham, for giving us that information. Dr. Neeraj Nishchal, final question on this broadcast. Does use of tocilizumab lower mortality rate in COVID patients?
So again, I will just touch on steroid as well. See,
Yes.
steroid should not be considered as a treatment of choice for COVID-19 patient. 90% of the patient will not require steroid. 90% will respond to just symptomatic treatment. So thinking that steroid is going to kill the virus is something which is fraught with danger. And that's why we always say that never ever use the steroid in the first week unless you take consultation with a doctor who feels, no, you are in cytokine storm of thing, maybe your calculation of days is wrong. Then only you should consider this thing. But thinking that you start steroid right at the start of your illness and you take it, then you are going to land up in problems. Steroid can save life, but if not used properly, it will take lives. And that is what we have to stress again and again. The same goes with tocilizumab as well. Tocilizumab is just, I will say, it's the emergency use authorization drug, off-label use has been given for this thing for management of COVID-19 in those patients who have not responded to steroids, and we are expecting that these patients are in cytokine storm, which can be controlled by giving further immunosuppression. So tocilizumab again is not meant for everyone. Tocilizumab again should not be thought to be a treatment of choice for COVID-19. These are reserved for rarest of rare patients who are not responding to steroids, or for some reason we are not able to give steroid and that patient is in cytokine storm. So it should be amply clear to everyone that steroid, if used properly, can save life. Remdesivir is not a magic bullet, should not, it has very, very limited role, if any. And tocilizumab, again, a very rare role. But in very selected and limited patients where steroids and cannot be used or are not effective, and the patient is in cytokine storm. But most of patients will not require tocilizumab, that's for sure.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neeraj Nishal, for answering those questions. And I would also like to thank other doctors on the panel, Dr. Y.K. Gupta, Dr. Kuganantham, for joining us in this special broadcast and taking our questions on COVID treatment and the drugs used for COVID treatment. Thank you very much for joining us on Republic TV.
Thank you.